Hey everybody, how's it going? Not sure who's all here or not. We'll give people a couple extra minutes just to see who's here and give them kind of a time to jump in. I have never done this before, so I don't know how this is going to go. I was hoping there's a way that I could share my screen with you guys while doing it, but I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. So we'll just have to kind of do this one and see what we can get to, see what we can come up with for this first one. But I thought it'd just be fun to do a live math lesson and see how it goes. So it's, like being in class, but being in class from my house, apparently. Just while we're waiting a couple minutes to give some people a little more time to come back in, on the right side of your screen, I believe you should see like a live chat. And one of the reasons I really wanted to do this is if we have a live chat going, if you have questions while I'm going over anything today, you can type it in there and I will kind of go through on the side and I'll answer all of your questions while you're doing it. Then just a couple of reminders before we get going. Make sure that you watch the math videos this week. Every day this week, because today is Wednesday, starting to lose track of days, but today's Wednesday. I put together a short little, I think the longest one was 8 minutes or something. I put together just quick little math lessons, the same ones that we would be doing in class, just a lot more shrunk down than what we would be doing in class. Then, did that not send? Oh, there you go. Sorry, I thought that sent before, but it didn't send. So make sure you watch the videos for the lessons. And then if you have any other questions that come up that I'm not during office hours, you can put them. There's a math questions for Flipgrid in Team Massey and Fieck Flipgrid one. You can record. So that way you don't have to type it all up and maybe help better understand. And then I'll just record and answer back to you when I see it. And usually I check those office hours or for sure at the end of the night after I put the kids to bed and everything. I try and sit down and go through all the questions and everything if I didn't get to them during office hours or things like that, because I know we all have a lot of stuff going on in our lives and our lives are pretty busy. I don't know if you're here and you want to just make a comment in the chat on the right and just say who is here. That would be great. I hope I have the chat open. I don't know. Like I said, I've never done this before, so we're just trying to go through and see how this goes. If you just want to go through and just type your name in the right so I can see who's here and whatever. And if you don't want to, I guess you don't have to. I'm just going to continue on with the lesson. Also, remember the resource wagon. There's tons of videos that if there's a lesson I haven't covered, I'm going to keep going down the list like I would, same order I would go through if we were in class. But if you're working on treks that I haven't done a lesson on, make sure you check out the resource wagon and the Unit 6 stopping points to find videos that would align with the concept or trek that you're working on. The goal going forward from here is hopefully completing at least 2 treks a week. That means you can do more, but hopefully, it's kind of like class that if you use your time, and treks should take anywhere 15 to 20 minutes. So if you figure that with a 5 to 10 minute math video, you're talking 30 minutes of math. And if you do 30 minutes of math and you only get halfway done with the trek, well, then just pick up on that trek tomorrow and finish it, because 2 or 3 a week, that means about half a one a day, which I don't think is asking too terribly much. And I know you guys are all capable of doing that, if not more a day. And then I was thinking of, I'm going to come up with a deadline for Unit 6 treks when they're due, just like I would in school. And thinking that Unit 6 treks would be due probably like the beginning of May sometime. I was thinking like the middle of the first week of May, which would end up on May 6th. So just kind of keep that in mind. And just like we talked about all year in class, like make sure you're scheduling your time and taking care of your responsibilities so that by May 6th, you should have all of your Unit 6 treks done. Okay, so I don't know. Is this not? Let me just. Can you guys see the chats? I don't know if you can't see the chats or you can't chat on the right side. I'm just trying to like, can you chat over on the right side? I'm moving my mouse like you can see my mouse. You can't see my mouse, but and like I said, this is some people have just jumped in and joined. I've never done this before, and I was hoping we could like mirror my screen, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to mirror the screen. Pop out chat, toggle, like, well, apparently if I'm going to do this again, I might have, restore chat. Whoop, I just ended the chat. Okay. Well, if you want to just chat, write your name in, tell us all who's here, who's hanging out, listening. I appreciate you guys joining us this morning. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever done this, so could be an epic fail, could be a major success, or maybe it's somewhere in the middle, and then we learn from this and make it better going forward from here. So with that, the lesson that I have today, which depending if you can't see my screen, is going to make this a little more challenging, but maybe I'll kind of record a video after I end this live stream and I'll upload it to the YouTube channel too. So then you have it for a reference after that. So the lesson for today was modeling multiplication and division. You should have watched part 1 yesterday with G's taught this year to solve multi-digit multiplication and division problems. So the first problem we're going to look at, and I apologize, bear with me. You're just going to have to listen as I read the problem, and then I'll work it out. And I have my dry erase board here just in case I thought this might not work, but I'll have to kind of, as I do the work, I'll flip it up and show you. And if this is the case, might have to find something bigger so you can see it in the background. Work through it and learn from our successes and failures to, if we do this again, which hopefully we will, make the next one better. So here is the problem, working on your listening skills, because I don't think you can see what I'm doing here, but the problem, Alexandra brought water for her hockey team. There were 14 players on her team, and she brought 24 ounces of water for each. How many ounces of water did she bring? So if you watch the videos that I've posted, first thing is we need to understand what the problem is asking, okay? And the big question for this problem, like we talked about in class, is how many ounces of water did she bring? So do we know the total ounces, or are we trying to find the total? And in this case, we're trying to find the total. And whenever we're trying to find the total, that means it's going to be a multiplication problem. So what do we know? We know there are 14 players on her team, and each of them brought 24 ounces of water. So if we're looking at what our equation is, we're trying to figure out 14 groups of 24. So 14 times 24 would equal how many ounces of water? Now, there's a couple strategies that we've talked about in school so far this year. We can do the area model. So if I look at 14 times 24, what is 14 in expanded form? Well, 14 in expanded form would be 10 plus 4. And then what is 24 in expanded form? It would be 20 plus 4. And you could do this along with us while you're watching to help practice. So now I have my area model set up, okay? I have the 10 plus 4 here and the 20 plus 4 there. And now I just have to multiply. So I'm going to do the 20 times the 10, the 20 times the 4 times the 10, and the 4 times the 4. And now if I do that, 20 times 10 would get me 2 times 1 is 2. And then you have multiples of 10, that would be 200. 2 times 4 is 8. Multiple of 10, one place value, that'd be 80. 4 groups of 10 would be 40. And 4 times 4, basic multiplication facts, which you should be practicing, is 16. So now that I have all of my areas filled in, I need to add all of those up. So I'm going to look for numbers that are easier to add. So I have 200. Let's see, I know 48 and 4 is 12. So that would be 120 plus 16 would be 136. So now so what I did is I did 40 plus 80. 40 plus 80 is 120 plus 16 gets me 136 plus my 200 over here. And if I add those all together, lining up my place values, I'd get 336. And then once I have my answer, I'm going to go back and see what was the question asking. How many ounces of water did she bring? So she brought 336 ounces of water. Okay. Now, the other way that we've been practicing in class is you could also set up and use a ratio table. Okay. So if I know one group is 24, okay, so if I set this up as a ratio table, one group is 24, I'm going to have to take that 14 times. So I'm going to have to do that till I get 14 groups of 24. Okay, so set up just like that. So now I'm going to kind of walk through it, and I'll show you the steps as I'm walking through it. Here, I'm going to double the 1 to get 2. Well, 1 times 2 is 2. 24 doubled would be 48. And now I'm just going to double the 2 again to get 4. And if I double 48, well, 48 doubled. 8 and 8 is 16, 8, 9. That'd be 96. Okay, now that I have, okay, and I'll show you kind of what I've been doing here. So I doubled the 1 to get 2, doubled 24 to get 48, doubled 2 to get 4, doubled 48 to get 96. Now I'm going to go right from 1 and make a jump of 10, okay? If you use a ratio table, you don't have to do it in any specific order or pattern. 1 times 10 is 10. 24 times 10 would be 240. So now I have all the work that I need kind of done as far as multiplying. But now it's 14. Well, in order to make 14 from what I've done, I can add the 4 and the 10 together to make my 14 groups. And then I can add the 96 to my 240. And by doing that, I get 96 plus 240. Ooh, this is a good place to practice your addition strategies. You could just line it up, standard algorithm, do 240 plus 96, or you could use the give and take method for addition. If I have 240 plus 96, well, if I add 4 to 96, I can minus 4, and I get 236 plus 100. Oh, okay. So the give and take strategy, I had 240 plus 96. Now I could just go 6, 9 plus 4 is 13, carry the 1 and 3. Okay, standard algorithm, that would work. Or give and take method, if I gave 4 here to make that a really easy number of 100, I could minus 4 from here to make that 236. And then simply 236 plus 100 gets me the same answer we just came up with before of 336 ounces. So that is an example of using a ratio table to solve a multiplication problem. So those are the really 2 main strategies that we've talked a lot about in class. 1, using a ratio table to solve multiplication problems, and 2, using the area model to solve multiplication problems. We have not gone over standard algorithm multiplication for the simple fact that that will be one of the last things that we cover in 4th grade. We'll cover long division, and we'll cover standard algorithm. And I know many parents at home, that's how you were taught. That's how I was taught. This whole way of learning and teaching is a whole new way. But this is just kind of what we've been talking about in class. So we're going to go through one more problem. And again, if you need to write it down or follow along, because I apologize that you can't see my screen, I'll work through it on the dry erase board just like we did the first problem. Mr. White, the gym teacher at Kennedy School, is planning a field day for his students. He wants to organize the 280 students into teams of 8 for different events. How many teams can he make? All right. So this is kind of putting a different spin. The big question, what is the problem asking us to figure out? Kind of just like when you read a story and you read word problems, you need to be able to understand and comprehend what you're reading. So the big question is, how many teams can he make? Okay. What do we know from the, so I guess then we go back and it's, do we know the total number of students, or are we trying to find the total number of students? In this case, we know the total number of students. And unlike our first problem, if we know the total number of students, this is going to be a division problem. So you always put your total first. How many total students did we have? Well, he has 280 students, and he wants to divide them up into teams. Well, what else do we know? He wants them in teams of 8 for it. So then our equation is going to be 280 divided by 8 equals what? N, variable for the unknown. So we're trying to solve for our variable for the unknown, okay? Now, the way that we've really practiced division in class this year is using a ratio table, okay? I think, long division is great, but until they understand place value and everything else, a ratio table is really good. And again, you need to be practicing and know your basic multiplication facts, which will make division so much easier for you. So in setting up our ratio table, I'm going to draw my line. And I'm going to say, if I have one group, there's going to be 8 students in there, okay? If I have one group, there's going to be 8 students in there. And then I know I have a total of 280 students. So I'm trying to figure out how many groups of 8 it would take me to get to 280 students. So for this one, I could start again, keep it simple, make a jump of 10. Well, 8 groups of 10 would be 80. And then I could just keep doubling it and go, well, 10 doubled would be 20, 80 doubled would be 160. I could double that again. Then I'm thinking, 4 times 8 is 32. So now I'm thinking if I double the 20 to get 40, 4 times 8 is 32. So that would get me 320. So that's going to be too much than what I need. See? Basic multiplication facts, okay? So let's add the 10 and 20 together, which would be 30. So if I add those two together, that would get me 30. And then if I add the 10 and 20 together, I simply just have to add the 80 and 60 together. Or what's 3 times 8? Let's see, 3 times 8 is 24. And I have one place value. So that would be 24 and increase a place value times 10. That would be 240. Or 80 plus 60 is 240. However you want to think about it. Okay, and this is now where you got to see that if I have 240, how far away from 280 am I? Okay, so you got to think 240. Oh, I'm 40 away. So I need 40 more. All right, basic multiplication facts again. 8 times what gets me closest to 40 without going over it? Well, in this case, we know 8 times something actually equals exactly 40. And in this case, it would be 5, right? So now that 40, now what I can do is if I add my 240 plus 40, that gets me my 280. And if I add these two together to get 280, I just add my 30 and 5 together to make 35. So how many teams of 8 can he make? he can make 35 teams. He can make 35 teams. And I hope that's the right way on your screen and not backwards, or hopefully maybe it's backwards. And in that case, this whole thing, But hopefully you get the gist of what I'm talking about. And judging by, I wonder if nobody's chatted. So that kind of defeats the purpose of the being able to ask questions while I'm on. I'll have to look more into this and see. I'm going to actually go right from here to my Google Hangout. And if you have feedback, I would love for you to come join me in my Google Hangout. If you go in the math class and then go under office hours and go into the Google Hangout, I will be there. In fact, I am going there right now, hopefully. And I would love for you to come on so we could talk and give some feedback about how you thought this went, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, what was good, bad, in between, and everything else. I really appreciate you guys joining me this morning. I really miss you guys terribly. I would give anything to be back at school and see you guys laughing and smiling and hanging out and everything else. But I think the most important thing right now is everybody stay safe, stay healthy, get outside on nice mornings like this morning. This is my bedroom window right here that I'm kind of looking out. Looks to be a nice sunny day. Get outside when you can. Enjoy some fresh air. And whenever you get frustrated, just remember, take breaks. And all we can ever ask of you is do the best that you can. Nobody can ever get mad at you or expect more as long as you put forth your best effort and do the best that you can. So thanks for joining me this morning. Love you guys. Miss you and can't wait to see you guys. If you want to go join the Google Hangout, I will be there in just a minute. All right. Thanks. Have a good rest of your day and week.